This is what you want, this is what you get. This is what you want, this is what you get. This is what you want, this is what you get. This is what you want, this is what you get.
Hey YouTube, this is Joe from Mega Newsreader. I am in downtown San Francisco on the Embarcadero at the intersection of City National, US Bank, and Bank of America. We're here for Occupy San Francisco. My job tonight is to go down and speak with protesters, find out why they're here. I want to find out what the Federal Reserve means to them. And I want to see if we've got any lovers of liberty down here in good old liberal San Francisco. So thanks for watching Mega Newsreader and enjoy. What is your name, sir?
My name is Tom Rowley.
Hey Tom, why are you standing out here at Occupy San Francisco on Saturday evening when most people are out partying?
Because I support these kids. They really know what they don't want, and I'm in total agreement with them.
And how long have you personally been out here in front of the Federal Reserve?
This is my third day.
Thank you for supporting America. I'm curious, what issue specifically brings you down here?
My issue is with the private ownership of the banking in this country, or the lending of money to the government here in this country.
And what role does the Federal Reserve play in your life?
Well, it's reduced the job market so severely that it's affecting everybody. So, you know, as an artist, it affects me. As a gardener, it affects me. It would have affected me as a machinist when I was a machinist for 20 years. You know, virtually everyone I know is being affected by this.
I agree with you. I'm curious specifically what actions that the Federal Reserve has taken that directly affects you. What is it about their principles and how they operate and who they are? How tangible?
I think at the very top of the order they're people with no names and no faces. They're not really the Rothschilds or the Rockefellers. We don't even know who in the hell they are. But they dictate and they run. They say when they're going to pull money, when they start foreclosing on houses and farms and small businesses. I think it's just inherently corrupt. They can regulate ups and downs so that they can rake in the money and cripple the society for 10 or 20 years like they did in the 20s and 30s. Back 1880, there's been a whole string of at least a half a dozen periods where they made money so scarce and jobs so hard to get. Yeah.
Do you think that most of the youth out here today fully understand that the Federal Reserve is a private corporation and that it issues the currency to a sovereign nation? Do you think that they understand that its largest shareholders are J.P. Morgan and Goldman Sachs, and that might be a conflict of interest for people who love liberty and this republic that they live in?
No, I don't think it's an issue. They may not know names and dates, you know, and who they are, but they know that the money issue is one of the biggest. Half of the young people that I've talked with here understand the thing about the money.
Right.
They don't know the nuts and bolts, but they know it's a money issue.
I think it's interesting that in San Francisco they chose to occupy directly in front of the Federal Reserve, whereas on the East Coast you'll find that they're more attacking Wall Street. Do you think that that's an accident, or do you think that that was intentional, that San Francisco is a little bit more direct to the point than perhaps...
On the cutting edge, yes. Well, you know, let's face it, Wall Street they're being operated by the big boys that we don't have no name and no face, so it doesn't matter really. When you consider that we've lost 4 American presidents, been assassinated over the money issue. Abraham Lincoln, it wasn't about slavery, it was about money really. James Garfield, McKinley, JFK.
You know, JFK was targeting the Federal Reserve.
I know
and,
that.
His intention was to destroy the Federal Reserve as well as the CIA.
I am absolutely aware of that. And they tried to get rid of Jackson 3 times. He was the first one that really started a campaign against him. He said, "I have ruined the banks." That was on his tombstone. Well, what he meant was by that is he made everyone aware that this is a money issue and that they've tried to kill me 3 times and they didn't get away with it.
Yes, absolutely.
I was lucky. One time they tried to stab him, and the tip of the knife went into one of his buttons. Another time it was a duel, and it was a misfiring.
They don't love you.
This money issue started from the very beginning with the colonizers.
Right.
People coming from England for freedom, and they wanted to tax the hell out of them. England did, and they said, "No, you can't do that," and it's been ongoing ever since.
And let me conclude this interview with one final question.
Sure.
What do you hope to accomplish specifically by taking your time and sacrifice to be out here?
Well, I come to support the young people because they have the energy, and you know, we just need to educate ourselves. You don't learn about this stuff in school. It's verboten, and certainly it's not going to be in the media because the bankers control all of it. Education, you name it. Healthcare, all of it.
You are absolutely correct. I just want to thank you one more time for being out here. God bless you. Okay, what brings you out here to occupy San Francisco on Saturday night when most people are partying and trying to get laid?
For me, it's one simple thing. My girlfriend's on the other side of the country, so I can't do the one thing I want. And the only other thing I've ever wanted so much, almost, is exactly what these people are fighting for. And it's one simple thing: equality and freedom. Everything these days costs money, and the people that need these things the most don't have any. So it's like, where's the truth? Where's the freedom? We're all living under this lie that we need money to be happy, to live, to survive, and we need a job to do that, and our job will never pay us enough money so that we'll be set for life, ever. I know everybody that's worked their whole lives for nothing.
How long have you been out here at Occupy San Francisco?
I've been here like 4 or 5 days, nice.
First of all, thanks. Thanks for being part of what is, in my opinion, the second American Revolution.
I agree. That's why I'm here.
And I'm curious, specifically, what role you feel the Federal Reserve plays in the misfortune and the destruction of the industrial United States of America and the middle class.
Well, like all banks, I'm a firm believer that money should be used or burned. None of it should be saved, because at this point the world's not going to last that much longer if we keep spending all our money. You know?
The
bank?
Go ahead.
They own all the money. Why is this money not owned by the actual federal government? Like, if they had all the money that's in the banks, we'd be out of debt. We'd have enough money to feed the entire world, clothe everybody, shelter everybody, and give everybody everything they need forever. And fix the environment.
Do you think that it's strange that they call this the Federal Reserve when in fact there's nothing federal about it?
Very strange. I think it's misleading and it's a big hoax.
Do you believe that most of the youth here this evening understand that the Federal Reserve is a private corporation that has no vested interest in the sovereignty of this republic that we live in?
I think they do, because we've been kind of saying that message loud and clear to everybody.
Do you think it's strange that on the East Coast they're protesting Wall Street specifically, but in San Francisco they've chosen to stand directly in front of the Federal Reserve, which is, in my opinion, the head of the beast?
Right.
Do you think that San Francisco might be a little bit closer to the point than what's happening in New York right now?
I think so, actually. I think these people have a much deeper message. Although I don't know what's going on in New York. I'm going to go over there next week.
Oh, awesome, awesome. Well, let me just end the interview by thanking you for being a part of this. God bless you and keep up the good work.
Oh, bless us all.
What brings you out to occupy San Francisco in front of the Federal Reserve Bank on a Saturday night when most people are out doing self-serving things to please themselves?
Well, I actually work 5 nights a week during the night, and then I also work like 3 or 4 days a week, alternating during the day. So this was like the first night in the week that I could actually spend the night here. But the reason that I feel motivated to come is just this huge problem with unemployment and the difficulty to find work. For example, like I have a bachelor's degree from UC Berkeley, and I've been working for minimum wage for the past 3 years, and that's just like that's my choice of underemployment. Or like other people could choose to take unemployment or whatever, but it just seems like there's this huge like. I can't think of the right word, but difficulty for the working people now. And it also bugs me that there's such a huge recession right now that was pretty much understood to be caused by the bank executives or the big people, you know, the billionaires of our country. Yet they are richer than they've ever been, and the other 99% are struggling harder than they have in decades.
And what role specifically do you think that the Federal Reserve Bank plays in the elimination of the middle class and the educated and an honest wage for people who are just trying to make it through this life?
I gotta hand it to the people who chose this spot. I have no idea like why they chose the federal bank in particular. I'm mostly interested in like biology and that kind of stuff, so I never really know. I don't know much about politics. I don't know much about.
Are you aware that the Federal Reserve is a private company, and in fact, there is nothing federal about it whatsoever?
No, until you told me 5 minutes ago.
What we're standing in front of. This is a corporation, and it's a private corporation. And its shareholders are the largest banks in the world. These banks have no vested interest in the sovereignty of the United States where you live. And do you think it's strange that they are able to print money out of thin air and then pretend to bail us out when in fact they are forcing it down our throats and forcing us to pay it back, not knowing where the money went, where it came from, or what it's doing?
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Do you know how long the Federal Reserve has been destroying this sovereign nation?
No.
98 years. In 1913, the Federal Reserve Act was passed in the evening. It was never legally ratified, and it was done while most senators were at home celebrating Christmas. And from that point forward, these private bankers have been able to print money out of thin air and then lend it to you while Every dollar they print makes the dollar in your wallet worth less. It is the source of inflation. It is a global company with the stated interest of deindustrializing the most productive nation in the world. How does that make you feel?
It's hard to believe.
This is what you want, this is what you get. This is what you want, this is what you get. This is what you want, this is what you get. This is what you want, this is what you get. This is what